What's up, everybody? It's Greg Birch with Delta Financial, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life and in your business with coaching on sales, leadership, mindset, marketing, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And we bring on guest speakers. Today, I've got the honor and pleasure of welcoming Mr. Kyle Newell. Kyle.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me, man. I've been looking forward to this.
Thanks for coming on, man. This is going to be great. I read your bio, dude. Your bio is awesome.
Thank you.
And so I'm real excited for this conversation. I think you and I are going to have a lot of common. Good. And so usually I read the bio, but your bio is really extensive. I want you to just kind of give a 60-second summary of yourself so that you can introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. So a little about me. I've been in fitness more than half my life. You know, it was a passion back in high school. That just kind of kept leading to the next crumb on the trail, to the point where it's been my passion to inspire people through fitness, right? Mental fitness, physical fitness. So I worked with Rutgers football. I did all that. I competed in bodybuilding, done a lot of unique and interesting things, learned a lot with the bodybuilding. I was a teacher at one point, phys ed teacher, while I started the business, the gyms. Now we have 2 gyms. And a lot of what I do is unconventional. And it's something I realized early on with fitness is majority of what people are doing is not working, right? And so I started always seeking out teachers that were teaching something different and then applying it and seeing how it works. And as far as my family, I got 3 beautiful children and a beautiful wife and 2 labs. We live in a town called Hillsborough, New Jersey. So it's nice and quiet where we live, which is pretty cool. We live on a creek. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit about my story.
Nice, man. Nice. I love it. So, some of the things that you had talked about in your bio that I want to highlight here are the connection that you make between physical fitness and mental toughness, and how you purposely put yourself in very mentally tough situations in order for growth. And I want to talk about that because there's 2 things here. First is I'm a big proponent of physical fitness also in order to have mental growth. Like, so for me, when I started being very consistent with my workouts and I started to focus on that physical like growth aspect and adding it, not letting go of anything else in my life, but adding it to supplement and add as an additive factor, I guess. What happened was, I'm a veteran. I've had PTSD diagnosed. I was on medication. I became like happier and healthier, and mm-hmm. I was able to weed myself off of medication because I was just in a much better space mentally, based off of physical fitness. And so, talk a little bit about that and the things that you've done and how and what you did in order to get there.
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit first about what I always tell people, right? All the clients I have, all the clients we have throughout, the country, the world. The main thing about exercise is that it affects your brain first. That's the main thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will have the misconception, hey, I'm going to go work out and I'm going to lose weight because of burning calories. So listen, there's certain chemicals and growth factors that can only get to your brain through physical movement. That's the primary importance of exercise. Now, as far as some of the tough stuff I've done, it really started with the bodybuilding. So in 2004, I did my first bodybuilding show, and I did a total of 7. But I would put myself through 4 months of just the most Spartan type training, 3 hours a day of workouts, literally starving myself before I really discovered fasting, like 1,500 calories a day for months on end. And I would train incredibly hard. It's to the point where like leg workouts, right? A lot of people don't like leg workouts. I relish them, and I always have. And I would always try to push myself to the point of maybe getting nauseous. But I knew that that's what there was growth happening. I was getting tougher. I was learning about life more through the gym than any classroom anything I learned in college or anything. It was really, okay, what can I put myself through and what's tolerable? So now I'll challenge myself. Like I did a really cool challenge. So I teach people, my Panda diet, which is not really a diet, it's just the fasting, which is really for me just a discipline and the self-mastery. But in the fall, while I was doing 75 hard, Andy Frisella's program, in the middle of that, I did what I call my Indigo Panda. So this was fasting 5 days, then break, fast 4 days, break, 3 days, break, 2 days. Now, each of those days, so I ate 4 times in 14 days. Each of those days was 2 workouts a day, at least 45 minutes. One had to be outside. And then I finished the 2 weeks with a 12-hour overnight hike through the mountains near us, really just to challenge my mind. And it was a silent, I wasn't listening to anything when I did it, but it was really about what's possible. And what I really try to teach, because this is what I try to do on my own, is when you are in that pain and you're in that discomfort and you're physically uncomfortable, that's what you were chasing. So you got to really learn to just embrace that feeling. And that, see you later, Spish. And that's what you really have to adapt to, that type of mindset. This pain, this discomfort is what you were chasing. And that's where all the growth happens.
So I want to talk about fasting first.
Sure.
So I've been doing intermittent fasting for a few years now. I started back in 2019, I believe. Started back in 2019. I started doing intermittent fasting, and I was on a 8-hour feeding window. I usually ate twice a day. So I would eat every day between 12 and 8 p.m. and then I'd fast the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then that eventually built into last November. I've also done Safe Far, and we could talk about that. I was on the phase 3 of Live Hard, and the diet I picked was an OMAD diet, a 1 meal a day.
Okay.
And so I've been doing 1 meal a day since October 31st of last year, and I love it.
It's awesome, dude.
I love it. Yeah. So talk a little bit about fasting, the benefits, and we can kind of dig into that.
Definitely. So I'll kind of give you a little background. When I discovered fasting was 2014, when that was the last time I competed. But at that point, I hadn't competed in 6 years, and I was coming back from a horrific leg injury, and that was part of my thing. Okay, let me get back on stage, put this behind me. Let me have my wife see me compete. So I'm halfway through the contest prep. About 8 weeks in, I would take about 16 weeks starving myself, because that's what I did it all the years prior. I'd have to starve myself. A guy, I'm 230 pounds. A guy my size eating 1,400 calories a day, it just, something seemed off with it. But either way, that's what I had to do. So I'm reading, I'm always learning stuff. 8 weeks out from the show, I read something about this guy who I'd always read his really good information on nutrition. And he's talking about our stubborn fat. And for men, it's typically our love handles, low back, abdomen. Women, it's typically the glutes and the thighs. But part of what makes that fat stubborn is it has a very, very poor blood supply. It's a different type of receptor. And the only way you can really increase blood flow to those areas is through fasting. And it just clicked in my head. And the next day I implemented it. I took my 1,500 or 1,600 calories, whatever it was at that point, 4 meals, and I went to 2 meals like you did. I did 12 and 8, pretty much 8-hour window. And immediately I noticed a difference in my energy, my hunger signals, and I was really excited about it. So I proceeded till 2019 with doing like a 16, 18, 20. Sometimes I do 1 meal a day. 2019, me and the staff were doing a staff fat loss contest. I said, you know what? I got to get back into the research with the fasting. I'd really come to love it at that point, but I started looking at longer form fasting. So then I started doing 48-hour fast and 72s. And then pretty much my basis now, and I'll go over all, some of the really cool benefits. What I teach people and what I do on a consistent basis is a 48-hour fast. So Sunday night to Tuesday night, and then 1 meal a day like you're doing. And it's awesome. It's fantastic. Now, as far as what comes with that, if we're looking at physical, your body is going to change dramatically because what's going on with the hormones. We're controlling insulin. If we can limit insulin, right? Insulin's released when we eat to get the blood sugar back down and store all the nutrients. Insulin is actually the most anabolic hormone in the body. But the root of every disease known to mankind is insulin resistance. When we become resistant to its effect from eating too often, stress, and eating the wrong types of foods. So we want to limit that. And the more we fast, the more we limit the insulin, we kind of heal ourselves and become insulin sensitive. Like I can see you're pretty lean, so you have good insulin sensitivity. So we have a bunch of disease prevention with fasting. Now, with the insulin being limited and other hormones such as cortisol and growth hormone will spike. Like in a 1 meal a day program, that'll go up 2,000 to 3,000% over baseline, which is incredible. Now, imagine you're doing that every day, right? You've been doing it since October 31st last year. It has a compounding effect when you're just flooding your body with this positive and completely rhythmic, like your body. This is the way the body is, in my opinion, designed to eat and to live. So you have reduced inflammation, increased brain function, and your body is going to really tap into the fat stores that it has on it. Fat is really just a food source. So for most people, if they're eating clean, right, they'll eat clean. I'm not losing, like my buddy that was just here. I don't understand. My body fat's not dropping. I'm eating really good. It doesn't matter if you're constantly spiking insulin. You will spin your wheels all day long. So that's a little bit about the fasting. I don't know what questions you have. I could talk about fasting all day, man. I love it.
No, I love it. And that's a piece of it that I haven't done a lot of research on. I did a little bit, and I did just enough when I started that I was like, "Huh, I'll try it." And I saw an immediate effect in fat loss, and I saw an immediate effect in my energy levels, just like you were saying. And
Yeah.
so I was like, "This isn't bad." And there was a bit of a period of adjustment that I had to get used to being hungry, but then after like a couple days, it was normal. Like
Yeah.
when I had to force myself to eat my second meal when I was on a 8-16 intermittent fasting schedule. And so the second meal, like I had to force myself, usually like 7 p.m. And then I was done for until the next day. So over time, like I said, I did an OMAD diet, and even by the time I had done that, I've been doing intermittent fasting for so long. For me, it wasn't too hard of a transition. I think maybe like 2 or 3 days, I got a little hungry, but after about 4 or 5 days of doing it, my body was regulated, and I
Yeah.
and I noticed that my body would burn fat so much faster. Like on my phase 3, I went from 248 pounds at the start of it, and 30 days later, I was 223.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
I lost 25 pounds of basically a fat. I got super lean. I got like real, it's like the most lean I've been in my life. And it was just doing my 2-day workouts. My second workout was always a run. I always did a 4 to 5 mile run, and my first workout was always the gym. And I would go lift, and I have a specific lifting schedule that I do. And then, but I've been doing 75 hard since 2021,
Oh
right?
yeah. Nice, man.
So I've done I'm in 75 hard. I'm on my fourth time through 75 hard right now.
Nice. So you said you were doing that live hard, like you've done.
I've done live hard, yeah. I did
You
live hard
break.
one time. I
How
did
was that?
dude, it was fantastic. So the first time I did 75 hard, I finished 75 hard, and I started phase 1 right away. Because I was like, I was hitting God mode. I was like, I'm on top of the fucking world. Like what, dude? It changed my life.
That's awesome, man.
It flips a switch in your mind, bro.
It
It
does.
literally changes you as a person. And so I was like, I don't want to stop. And so I have a shoulder injury on my right shoulder. It's from the military. I actually had surgery on it. It's a rear labral tear that I had surgery on in 2016, and I've never gotten full range of motion back. But I was lifting real hard. I was lifting like really hard, and at the end of 75 hard, I injured my shoulder, but I just kept pushing it. And then phase 1 starts, and it started to really lock up. And I was like, man, I'm gonna stop phase 1, and then I'm gonna go get my shoulder seen. Well, I get seen by the VA, and in the Medicare, or in the medical care that is done by VA is terrible. So it's like socialist healthcare. And so for those of you that are like all about Obamacare and socialist healthcare, it's a terrible system, by
It's
the way.
terrible. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you need a capitalist system. So it took forever to get seen. I ended up having to put it into a sling again because it was hurting so bad. Like it would just hurt to hang my arm to hang. And my arm ended up going through this atrophy and literally shrunk. Like this arm shrunk because I wasn't using it. And they got me this machine that I had to put my arm in, and it would force movement and for certain stretches. It looked like a torture chair, like someone would get strapped to for electrocution.
Sure.
And so I did that for a while. They did a cortisone shot, and as soon as the cortisone shot kicked in, I was like, dude, I'm jumping back on. But months had passed, and so I was like, well, I don't have enough time. Like I could have done phase 1, 2, and 3, but the timeline was so tight that if I would have messed up one time, I would have had to start over again. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do 75 hard again. I'm getting back into it. And I forced myself. And dude, I just took off from there. And I've just been very careful. I started doing a lot of functional movements and stretching with my shoulder every single time I lift, every day now. Anytime I do upper body, I'm doing some kind of functional stretching and movements to open up my shoulder joint.
Sure.
And it's helped quite a bit. And so since then, I finished 75 hard a second time, and then I started phase one again. I kept having issues with phase one, bro. I just kept messing up, and I kept
What
failing.
was it? What was getting you?
It was the extra tasks. It was the extra tasks
Like
because
the cold shower, the visualization, that type of stuff.
so the cold shower didn't bother me. Cold shower didn't bother me. The visualization didn't bother me. But one of them is like you have to do 8 additional critical tasks, or it's actually 3. It's 3 additional critical tasks because the first 5 are supposed to be the 75 hard. So
Okay.
you add 3 additional critical tasks to your day. And I do a lot of traveling for work, and so like I would travel and I'd be in the plane, and then I'd be like, fuck, I didn't do anything. And so I'm like sitting there scrambling, like, what a critical task can I do? And I'm not coming up with anything. So I'm like, well, I guess I could like call this agent and do like a coaching session impromptu, and my heart wasn't in it, right? And so
Sure.
I eventually get to a point where I planned it out ahead of time. So I was like, hey, like one of my critical tasks going forward was I wanted to write a book. So I was like, I'm going to write X amount of pages a day or X amount of writing per day. X amount of
Spread
words.
that task out. Yeah.
So I started spreading that task out, and I did things like that actually helped me to be more consistent and focused. And when I did that, I was able to get through phase 1 fine. Phase 2 is easy. And then I had a big break between phase 2, phase 3. So I did 75 hard again just to keep strong and keep sharp. Did phase 3. Dude, phase 3 is phenomenal. Phase 3, like talking to the strangers and doing the random acts of kindness, I was on a different high mentally.
I got to do that, man.
It's Live Hard was awesome. It was really, really awesome. So as soon as
And that takes you the whole year, like you were saying, right? It's supposed to take the whole year.
Yeah, it takes the whole year. And so when I finished, I jumped right back into 75 hard again, and I ended up. I think it was like the end of December. I had a buddy come visit that came and record a podcast with me live, and we went out to dinner. And he was like, "Hey, have a drink." I was like, "Okay." And so I was like, "I'll start over," So I started over, and then I went to go visit my brother in Hawaii at the beginning of February this month. And when I was coming back home, dude, I spent all day in airports and on planes. I spent like 12 hours. And that, not to mention the time to drive to the airport, the time to drive back to my house. By the time I got back home, it was like 10 p.m. And I was like, there's no way that I can do 2 workouts in between. Like, because So I was like, you know what? There's nothing I can do. Fuck it. I'm starting over. So I just recently started back over again. Nice. And I'm on day 16 right now.
Cool, man.
So
yeah, I got to try the full thing. I love the 75 hard though, man. I think it was awesome.
Yeah, it will change your life. It'll literally transform the person you are. And it seems like, dude, just reading out your bio, you have a lot of things that you do just to put yourself into mentally challenging situations, like the cold plunge, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really interested in cold plunge. I've done it before a handful of times. Nothing special. Part of me, I want to buy one of those big cold plunge tubs. Just to be able to do it whenever I want, or like one of the buckets that you can fit yourself in. I'm a big dude though. I'm 6'7". You can't tell on camera.
You're 6'7", okay.
Yeah, but I'm a big dude.
What you can, when you said your weight, I was trying to figure, okay, that makes sense. But that's so what I did, and you would probably have to get a little bit bigger of one, but I got a box freezer. I got a 15 cubic foot. I actually got in Lowe's. I got in it, and the guy said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I got to see if I can fit in here." But I took a box freezer. There's an adapter, which I can send you. I can't think of the name of it, but you plug. So I sealed everything inside the freezer with some caulking. And then use an adapter. The freezer plugs into that. You set the temperature. It has a thermometer that's in there. And dude, I go out every morning, flip it open. I get in there because it was a lot more, for where we're at with our house before we move, cost efficient, right? Yeah. I had inquired, I tried one that this guy makes, but for this little thing, it was like $5,000, for this little cold plunge. But the benefit of the freezer, I find, is that I don't got to put ice in it or anything. I just set the temperature and I go out there in the morning, open it up and get in, and it's consistent.
That's pretty smart, actually.
Yeah.
How much cheaper was that? What'd you pay? Like probably like $500 for a freezer?
Yeah, it's like $500 all in, with the adapter and whatever, man. And $500. And I was like, and that way I get to test it too. Maybe down the road I'll get one that actually is like a hot tub but a cold tub, but we'll see. But it was I thought it was ingenious, man. When I found a guy I saw my buddy did it, he sent me some directions, and I found another guy on YouTube, and I was like, oh, just copy that and do that. So it worked out.
That's so smart. I'm going to do that. I really do want to do cold plunging.
Dude, it's awesome.
There's something about putting yourself in mentally challenging, difficult situations,
Yeah,
and just sitting in the pain that it unlocks parts of your mind.
it really does, man. Yeah, I'm sure it's going. Like, I'm sure you're a fan of David Goggins. I'm guessing.
I am. I'm a huge fan.
So I just finished his second book, man, and he talks about that.
Dude,
right?
isn't it phenomenal?
It's great. It's great. I would listen to it on my runs. It's so good, man. I think I might have liked it better than the first one. I maybe go back and listen to the first one, but that dude's mindset, man, and that's really what it's about. Is you put yourself in discomfort, right? Most people, first of all, will never put themselves in discomfort, but it's that hormesis, that low level stress that makes you tougher to kill, right? And like I look at the cold tub every time I never look. I love it and I hate it, man. Every morning it's like, oh damn, I don't want to go in this thing. But as soon as you get out, I'm in there 2, 3, 4 minutes. It's, man, that was a win right out the day because I did something that was tough and I was uncomfortable. But it forces you to, like with that, you've done some of it before. You got to go right to your breathing. Like you got to get centered because otherwise you just start shaking and panicking. So you got to get right to your deep breathing and you just calm down. But it's really that physical discomfort, man. Like I was doing a couple cool things I'll do here at our gym. Like a couple of years ago, it was like the COVID year or whatever. I'd heard of this guy, this Bulgarian heavyweight wrestler back when I was competing that had 34-inch legs. And the guy that was coaching me, he said, well, all the guy would do really is leg extensions in an 8-minute set of squats of 135. And at the time, how the hell does somebody squat for 8 minutes? So that year of 2020, I decided to do that. And I got up to like 220 pounds and doing 8-minute sets, man. And pretty much every week doing that. But you would get into that zone, man, where there was just, it doesn't make sense, right? You can't do a set. Like if I said, go do a set of 100 reps with 220 pounds, people would think it's crazy, right? But something flipped in the brain and then you get into that pain zone. And it's just, it's kind of like the high you said with like phase 3, right? Of Live Hard, man. But yeah, I totally agree with you, man.
So to talk about that even further, also November when I started phase 3. So I saw this ad on Facebook and it was like, hey, do 3,000 push-ups in the month of November for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So I was like, yeah, you know what? That sounds fun. Like I'll do it. And I was like, that's 100 push-ups a day. That's easy. Like I can do that. And so I sent it out to my team. And so to my company, I was like, hey, who wants to do this with me? And let's see who can get done with the 3,000 push-ups first. And I had a couple people like, oh man, I'm going to crush you. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll see. Yeah. So I started doing my 100 push-ups. Then I quickly went to 150. Then before you know it, I'm doing 250, then 300. So I ended up getting to 3,000 like halfway through the month. And when I got to the 3,000, I was like, all right, I hit my 3,000. Someone was like, are you going to quit? And I was like, well, I'm done. And they're like, yeah, but the month's not over. You said you're going to do push-ups for the month. Like, are you quitting? And they're like everybody started like talking shit, calling me out. And I was like, okay, I got you. And so I just kept doing the 300, the 300, 350. I got to 7,500 in the month.
Wow.
And by the end of the month, dude, my chest was so much fuller than it ever had been.
That's a lot of volume. That's awesome, dude.
It's a lot of volume. And so, dude, I haven't stopped since then. And so I was like, I want to see how many push-ups I can do in a day. Dude, I do 950 push-ups a day now.
Do you really?
I do.
How do you break it up? Like, how many are you doing at a clip?
So what I do is when I get to the gym, when I first start off, I do my warm-up sets to open up my shoulder. I do 3 warm-up sets, and in 2 of those warm-up sets, I do 2 sets of 50.
Okay.
And then I start my exercises. So typically my exercises, I break down to 4 exercises with 4 sets. And then I do a 5th exercise, which is always calves, because my calves are tiny and I hate them. So I'm always working my calves every day. And then I do 4 exercises on abs. So when you look at like 6 total exercises by 4 sets. And what I do is I do sets of 25 and 35 in between every single set. So when everything's said and done, it ends up being 800 push-ups at the end. And then I have 150 push-ups left, and that's what I'm doing right now. So on my second workout, I broke up my run. Like I literally would just stop and drop and just do 50 push-ups and then get up and take off running again. and then start running, and then I'll wait for like 10, 15 minutes, do the same thing, stop, drop, do 50 push-ups.
I love it.
So my
Okay.
950 in a day, and my goal is like I want to get to 1,000 a day, right? And I honestly, like, I could drop and do 50 right now, and it wouldn't bother me. Like, I would hit my 1,000 for the day, and it would be
How
fine.
how does shoulder and pecs like
Dude,
the tendons
it's
do?
great actually. So I actually I'm left-handed, so my left hand's my strong hand. My right arm is the one that had the shoulder issue, but I felt a tear when I got to around 300 a day. I felt a tear right in the connection between my shoulder and my chest, and I just kind of ignored it. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm doing this." Like, I'm finishing the month, and it hurt, but it wasn't crippling, but I could feel it. And for a while I was worried. I was like, dude, what if I'm fucking my chest up and my shoulder? And eventually it just went away. It was just like, and one specific, I could literally like touch that spot and like push in, but it just went away. And what's crazy is that I talk about now, I'm like, dude, I'm doing 950 push-ups a day. Dude, when I get 100 push-ups in, I can just go. Like, it's like my body just knows, like, it's fucking time to do this, right? And I could just start doing push-ups. I don't even feel it. Like, I just get into a zone and I could just knock out push-ups. I could do like sets of like 200 now. It doesn't, like, I don't even feel it anymore.
And so are you in the gym 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
Okay, so as you said, what do you do on your days off? How do you spread out the push-ups? But that's, dude, I love it too, man. Because first, you're already doing the 2 workouts a day, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm a big believer, man. Fitness should be snacked on and should be done throughout the day, not just in a formal workout. But that's I gotta swipe that idea, man. I probably won't start with 950, but
I'm telling you, it'll change your chest. It changed my stamina. It changed my chest strength, my stamina, my size, the fullness of it. And also now in the gym, like, there's so many people that have been watching me, and they're like, I walked in the other day and there's like 5 dudes doing push-ups in between sets now. And like, all these people are doing it too, like adopting it. And I haven't talked to anybody in the gym about it. I'm just doing it, right? And they see me dropping down doing push-ups all the time. And so, a couple people, they'll come up and they're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're super vascular. And I was like,
you look lean, man.
Yeah. So I'm pretty lean. So I was like, well, I do 1 meal a day, and I'm doing 950 push-ups a day on top of my workouts. Like, and they're like, shit, like, how do you do that? I'm like, dude, I just built up to it, bro. I started at 100 push-ups a day, and anyone can do 100 push-ups a day. I don't care who you are. You can break up and do 10 push-ups over 10 hours and do 10 sets of 10. Anybody can do that, right? I don't care how big. You can do wall push-ups, you can do push-ups on your knees, and you can slowly build up. Like, it's not that hard, right? And it's just like, do I wake up and feel like I don't feel like going to the gym and doing 950 push-ups? Fuck yeah, I do. Fuck yeah.
Every morning,
every morning. And then I'm like, well, gotta go get this shit done.
You just do it, man. What time do you go over there? What time do you typically?
I get up every morning about 4:45, and so I wake up. I just started doing daily meditation. So I do meditation in the morning, then meditation in the evening before I go to bed.
Are you doing TM? Are you doing TM, Transcendental? Are you doing?
I'm doing. Have you heard of the Jose Silva method?
I've heard of it, but I'm not. I couldn't tell you what it is.
So I'm doing the Jose Silva method, and so there's a whole training course on it, and it's like a 30-day training course that you can do through Mind Valley. I saw, dude, it's crazy how this stuff kind of just comes to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just kind of like it's attracting to your life. And I'm reading this book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, and he talks.
Yeah, I'm doing this course right now with my wife.
Dude, that book is phenomenal, bro.
Yeah, it's great.
That book is like, it is mind-bendingly awesome. And he talks about all these things and how these things are weirdly connected in life, and how life just takes you on this journey. And I'm like sitting there reading, and these are like beautiful experiences. So I'm like, dude, there might be something to this, like doing some meditation. I've never really gotten into it. And I was looking up something on meditation, and I was in YouTube, bro. And someone sent me a video before I like clicked the link to even look at it. I saw an ad, and it was Mind Valley, and it was talking about the Jose Silva method. And I don't know why, but this is a 30-minute ad, by the way. It was like it was a long one. And so I don't know why I decided, I always skip ads, but I sat there and I listened to the whole damn thing. And something told me that this was something interesting to me. And I was listening to this thing and the story of Jose Silva and like all this stuff. I was like, I'm actually interested. This seems like something I'm interested in. And so I went and looked at Mind Valley. I paid the monthly subscription, started doing it. Dude, it's a game changer, right? So I started up every morning doing my meditations, prayer, and usually I do some mindset stuff in the morning just to like I'll listen to a podcast or whatever. And then I'm usually in the gym by 6 a.m. So
6 a.m. Oh,
yeah.
and what time do you go to bed typically?
About 10.
10. And do you feel like with the meditations, because we have our TM, me and my wife are starting, we have our first lesson this weekend, and I know that's twice a day, 20 minutes. Do you feel like it's recharging you throughout the day, like for the day?
I do. So I've been doing this Jose Self method for about a week. Like it's not been that long, but I do feel like I'm having better sleep. Like last night I did my meditation and then like literally just turned off the lights, went to bed, fell asleep right away. And then I woke up at like 3:45, like wide awake, ready to go. And I looked over my clock and I was like, shit, it's 3:45. And I was like, well, I could go back to sleep. It's for another hour, or I could go ahead and start getting productive. And I was like, well, I'm up. And so this morning I woke up really early. So
that's cool, man. I'm pumped to really, I've dabbled with meditation throughout the years, but I'm really excited to have a formal program.
Mm-hmm.
And whatnot. Do you do visualization?
Yes. Yeah.
So when do you do that?
So it's part of the Jose Silva method. So there's multiple different things it teaches. So one of them is like the relaxation technique or a centering exercise, where you basically you close your eyes and you think of the number 3, and you also say it to yourself mentally, and you see it in your mind 3 times, and then you go through this process of physically relaxing your body from head to toe. And then once you've done that, once you go from head to toe and they talk you through it, then you do the number 2. And then after the number 2, you do a mental relaxation where you imagine yourself that you're somewhere calming, relaxing, maybe somewhere you've been or somewhere you'd like to go. And you just sit there and you kind of relax, and it mentally relaxes you. And then you do the number 1. And when you do the number 1, it's where you kind of like fall into your alpha state, and you combine those two and you fall into your alpha state. And so once you're in your alpha state, then you can start to do like affirmations and stuff like that. Or you can do the next exercise, which is called the mental screen technique, where you imagine in your mind, there's a screen that's right in front of you, that's 6 feet in front of you, but it's also 20 degrees up, raised up. And so you look at it like through your eyelids, basically closed eyes. You're looking at the screen that's slightly up 20 degrees, and you play something. So like this is where you do your visualization on the screen in your mind. Mm-hmm. So you can do a visualization of something that you want to accomplish. You can do something that you want to attract to your life. You can even do they do a one where it's like a storyboard, where like you look at a problem set, and then you shift your eyes 20 degrees to the left, and when you look to the left, the next is you fixing the problem set, and then you do it again 20 degrees to the left on a third screen, and on that screen this is the end state. So you almost like imagine the storyboard of how you're correcting or fixing something, and you can use it for so many things. You can use it for health, you can use it for fitness, you can use it for monetary abundance, to find the love of your life, like whatever it is, right? And so you're basically opening up pathways to the universe in order to attract these things that you want.
Yeah. I love that stuff, man. I'm a huge fan of visualization, but I'm not surprised that you do it, man. It seems right in line with your mindset.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, and I feel like I'm opening up all these like doors in my mind. And ever since I read the Surrender Experiment, and it's like these things are just getting attracted, there was no reason that I should have seen that ad, right? I'd not researched anything, unless, I mean, obviously our phones are listening to us, but I hadn't talked a lot about it. It was like, I was just me reading it and then being like, that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
So,
definitely a lot to that, man. The law of attraction and the metaphysical aspect of that, and creating the reality through our thoughts. Definitely absolutely. A lot to that.
And so, talk a little bit about, how you challenging yourself mentally has had an effect in your business, and you are being able to find more success with the physical fitness and the mental toughness that you're developing?
Sure. So on the surface of it, well, maybe it's not the surface, but what I have found throughout the years is people aren't coming here, to my gyms or when I coach them online. Really, maybe initially they're coming for the physical, like they think it's just about the training or whatever. But it's the mental discipline and toughness that they're attracted to, right? So I think people are just, hey, what is that? I want some of that, whatever that energy is. So it attracts people that realize everything starts up here, right? Everything we access the spirit through the mind. We every habit, skill set, mindset, it's all up here. So you have that aspect. Now, as far as you have a business, there's always going to be ups and downs, man. There's going to be a lot of struggles. People don't can't really comprehend, I believe, what it means to be an entrepreneur, and it's just different. And have you ever heard of Dan Kennedy?
No.
Dan Kennedy, he's a great marketing guy for small business. Really, so I studied a lot of his stuff. But he would always say, being an entrepreneur is the loneliest world in the universe. Like, people just can't relate to you. They're not going to relate to you. It's always going, right. So the toughness from the physical challenges is always carried over. Anytime something's got tough in the business and you hit a wall and you feel like, man, I can't do this, because the physical toughness, to me, the main thing with that is the self-talk, the inner dialogue. Like, that's the huge thing, is what's everything's the inner dialogue. What are you saying to yourself? What questions? What are you visualizing? What are you picturing? And you have to be able to tap into that with tough physical challenges. Otherwise, you won't survive. You'll fail. And I carry that same inner dialogue. I'm very mindful of it, and I know when it's negative and when I have to change it. But anything that comes up, I try to reframe. Hey, what's great about this? Where's the growth in this? And I look at everything in my life as resistance training, whether it's mental, spiritual, or physical. It's all there to build me up. And I'll give you like an external thing. So and I'm sure you probably feel the same way, when you really push yourself physically years and years and years, and you start really developing more self-confidence, and you have your own core values and what you stand by and what you believe in. So with COVID, I did not put whatever anybody's views are, my gut was saying something was fishy from the get-go with all that stuff, just the way everything was.
Yeah.
So we, in that year, May, we were actually the first ones in the state to announce we were opening. I didn't hide it. We wound up being on Fox News, all this stuff. And you had all these fines, right? Fines and up to 6 months in jail with every summons I got. And all my police buddies were telling me not to do. Everybody's saying, you can't do this. And I said, listen, I'm going by my core values. So that inner strength I have developed through the physical challenges and training more than half my life. In a situation like that, man, I was able to stand strong and say, you know what, this is what I believe in. This is coming from my heart. It was the inner dialogue. I didn't care what anybody else thought with that situation. But I really believed, right, that came from just the mental toughness from all the years of physically training. And then that really, like Goggins says, right, that accesses the mind. It gives you certain control over your mind, and you figure stuff out about yourself that most people don't want to examine in themselves.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, huge.
And self-awareness is so huge. I've been doing some trainings with my agents lately on self-awareness, and there's something to being able to master your mind, right? Master your thoughts, being able to sit in those dark places and really gain strength and power from it, and sit with the pain and then learn from it and grow. And it's those daily disciplines, those daily actions that you don't want to do, but you still do anyways, that grow that self-awareness and that self-confidence.
Huge. Yeah, 1,000%, man. It's all about connecting the dots to self-awareness. That's the whole key.
Yeah. And it's probably the most difficult thing. What is it? Benjamin Franklin said there's three of the hardest things in the world: is steel, a diamond, and mastering yourself. So
yeah, it makes perfect sense, man.
So
steel, diamond, mastering yourself. It really is, man. If you can master, and I tell people, I had a coaching call this morning with a client, and I got him fasting back in 2020. He started at 260. He's maintained 210 since. And I said, Andrew, it's not. It is. You get the physical change with the fasting, but it really is the discipline it instills in your mind and the self-mastery. That's, to me, the beauty of the fasting. you're doing a 1 meal a day type of program where you can, okay, I'm in control. Because if you get the urge, right, like we all, I want to go, it'd be nice to go eat a cheeseburger at lunch some days or whatever, right? But you got to go inwards and you got to be more self-aware. You can't use that drug of food to kind of take away whatever thoughts are going on. So I find that fasting has been fantastic with the self-awareness.
Yeah. And here's the thing is that like, when you get used to doing it, like those inklings and those urges, they're less powerful over your mind. Like they
Yeah.
lose a lot of power. So like now when I go out and I'm out and about, and if I'm going and running errands during the day or anything like that, and I walk into a place that has restaurants like the Walmart, the local Walmart here has a Subway right in the entrance, which I used to love getting a meatball sub or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and you can smell that. And I smell it. And part of me is just like, man, I used to be a weak bitch and I would go eat that shit. And I'm like, not anymore, motherfucker, not anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like it actually I like it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's lost its power over me. And then but here's the problem about it is that whenever I compromise and I slip, because I got done with 75 hard, and there was that period of time, like I was telling you, that my shoulder was injured and it was in a sling. I wasn't working out. And so I was like, I'm not a 75 hard. I can eat what I want. I can drink. And I started, and I slipped once. And you know what happened? I friggin' went down. I went down the hill fast. Like you can
Sure.
lose that discipline. You can lose
Yeah.
that mind, that mental toughness real quick.
Yes.
And I started eating anything and everything I wanted. I started eating. I was like, it's okay. I'll friggin' shoulders better. I'll get back on safe hard. I was drinking, and dude, it like I gained a lot of weight really quickly, and I went back to where I was, and I was like, one day I looked at myself and I was like, fuck, like what did I do? You know, like I lost that edge, you know, and so you have to, dude. Like that's my weakness is food. I love food. I love carbs, and
Me too.
I love to go have a hamburger or pizza. Like I could down a whole pizza, bro. Like nobody's business. And now when I look at it, I'm like, dude, I'm not doing that. Like people are like, oh, let's go out to eat. And I'm like, I'm not interested in doing that at all. Like I'll come out with you guys and hang out. We can chat and we can connect, but I'm not going to eat. I'm going to drink water and I'll sit there and stare at you. So if you're fine with that and I'm cool with it, then like let's go. And most people are like, no, that's weird, man. I don't want you to sit there and stare at me while I'm eating. I'm like, it doesn't bother me, but I'm not going to be eating.
Yeah, it's funny, man. People get weirded out by it.
Yeah, they do.
It's so different from what most people do.
And it really does change your mind when you get to a point to where you're consistent with a diet, right? And here's the thing is like I really do believe that any diet works. I believe that like it's calories in, calories out. This just works for me, right? This has worked very well for me doing an intermittent fasting and also keto and removing carbs from sugars from my diet. It makes it to where my body is I feel healthier, I feel happier. I burn fat very fast, and like I think I'm sitting at like 8% body fat right now.
Nice. It's awesome, dude.
So like, and I'm maintained there, and I'm not stressed about it. You know, I'm not like pushing myself even harder to like lose even more. I'm at a good weight. I'm trying to bulk a little bit because I had gotten so small, so much smaller when I lost all that weight, and so when I eat anything that is remotely unhealthy, I know it instantly. It's like my body tells me instantly that moment. It's like, nope, this is not healthy for you. It's processed. Don't eat this shit.
Yeah, you get much more in tune with your body when you're fasting like that, man. What's good, what's hunger signals, all types of stuff like that, man. You have inflammation, food hangover type stuff.
Yep.
Definitely.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does, man.
So, Kyle, man, this has been awesome. I feel like I can sit here and talk to you about diet and exercise. And
dude, I love it.
All damn day. What's in one last thing that you want to share with the audience that can inspire them to look at changing their entire life and going down a path of chasing greatness, chasing their potential, and starting with physical fitness, right? To be the catalyst that puts them on that path. What are something that you could share with them in order to hopefully inspire one listener from the audience?
Yeah, I would first lay the groundwork that, guys, as we talked about a lot here, The physical fitness is going to be the doorway into the life that you want. So wherever you're at, you start taking that first step. I believe you should move every day. That might be a 10-minute walk to start out. It doesn't matter. What can you form a habit around?
Yep.
Now that life that you want, you got to get clear on that. And there's something called open architecture, this concept where if you can picture it and you've had the thought, your spirit and your mind and your heart knows that you can do it. So if you had the thought, now it would be a disservice not to go chase that, right? But your fitness is going to directly impact your energy. Your energy is your key to life. Energy is our number one asset. Without energy, we're dead, right? And energy is magnetic. So increase your energy through physical fitness. Then maybe you throw in the fasting, you start building that mental discipline, that self-mastery, and realize it's a process. There's no end in sight when you actually buy into this. It's just a daily process that leads to belief and confidence.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on board. If anyone wants to learn more about you, kind of reach out to you to pick your brain or connect with you, what's the best place that they can connect with you, Kyle?
Right now, we're super active on our Instagram, so it's the Panda Man Official, and that's on Instagram. But yeah, we've been doing some really good content over there and really getting some good traction. Everybody that DMs me, I DM back. I correspond with them right through the DM there. So right now, that's the best place to go is find me on Instagram. The Panda Man.
I'm gonna go follow you now. Or after
awesome,
right after this call.
Nice.
Awesome. And then the last question I ask all my guests when they come on is you have the option or you have the opportunity to speak with three individuals, anyone in history that you can learn from, grow, break bread with, spend time with. Who would those three people be and why? And it could be anyone, living or deceased.
Mm-hmm. Great question. I would say Jesus.
Okay.
Buddha.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And I would probably say as the last one, probably Michael Jordan.
No one's actually done Michael Jordan. I'm surprised now that you say him.
Yeah, I mean the killer mindset, man. I mean, to me, he's untouchable. He's it's unbelievable.
He is dude. When he used to play, for those of you that are too young to remember when he was in the NBA and actually watching play, it was like watching magic happen on the TV screen. It was magical.
And you knew he was not going to lose when a game mattered, man. He wasn't going to lose. It wasn't even an option. It wasn't even on the table.
He changed the game forever. Like
he really did, man.
I don't care what you think about like anyone playing now or anyone. No, he changed the fucking game.
He did, man.
It's
not even. I always tell people, I'm like, look, Kobe might be the closest thing I've seen to his mentality, to him, but he was a universe apart from Jordan. So forget about everybody else, man. Jordan was just in a whole realm on his own.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are three great choices. I love it, man. That's
a good question.
So for the audience listening, hey, this was a great podcast that we had a lot of nuggets, and hey, this is all about mental toughness. This is about training that mental toughness through physical fitness. Everything that Kyle said was correct. Make sure you show him some love. Go check out the Panda Man Official on Instagram. Go give him a follow, and do me a favor. If you got anything out of this podcast, if you learned anything, if you grew, share this content with someone else that can also learn something and grow from it as well. It's called a value-based exchange. We're providing you value for free. All we ask in return is that you also share this value out to people that can also get value from it. And that's how we grow organically by word of mouth. It takes you 30 seconds to share, rate, subscribe, and give a little review on this, but it means the world to us. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Greg Birch. Until next time. We'll see you.